friends, today I'm going to do my wrap up for the second half of June. So in all honesty, the second half of this month was pretty rough reading wise. I basically hit a slump immediately after I filmed my wrap up for the first half, and I was already not feeling super well mentally when I filmed that, but I was still reading and still just getting reading done. But then really right after filming, I just hit such an intense slump and I did not want to read anymore. And I don't know, sometimes when I'm not feeling well, most of the time when I'm not feeling well, reading is actually really good for me. It helps me to just dive into another world and not think of shit. But in this case, I just couldn't concentrate on a book. And then on top of that, I was also kind of choosing the wrong books to read. I kept thinking I would have to read something that's fantasy that I could escape into, or a happy contemporary that I could escape into. But I actually realized at some point that that's not what I needed. But we're gonna get into that once we're there. I did read some graphic novels, so in the end I still read 6 books in the second half and 12 books overall this month. So I get that that's not bad, but I definitely had very different plans for June overall, but especially for the second half. I didn't read anything except Hate to Want You, which I already talked about in my first half for the Buzzwordathon. That made me really sad. It just really wasn't what I was hoping it would be, but sometimes that's just how it is, and that's fine as well. And again, obviously this is not a bad month by any means. So yeah, let's just get into what I read. The first book that I finished was This One Summer by Mariko Tamaki, illustrated by Gillian Tamaki. This is a graphic novel and I saw that my library had it, and after I loved Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki so much, I just knew that I wanted to read this as well. I ended up being really disappointed though. This brought up tons of issues, really important things to talk about. Teenage pregnancy or unwanted pregnancy. There was loss of an unborn child, just so many things going on in there. But it just felt like all of these things were kind of mentioned, but then we never really saw the consequences. We never really saw any conclusions. And I also felt like the characters never really learned anything from it. The main character was kind of slut shaming at one point. And for me, it made total sense why she would do that. She kind of just didn't really know any better. She was still young and she heard from other people. Someone kind of called her out on it, but I didn't really feel like she actually understood why it was a problem and why she shouldn't slut shame people. So it just had all of these things, and then I thought that it could have been really great, but it didn't deliver on any of these things. It didn't really feel, again, there was a conclusion to all of these issues. And so I was not a big fan of it at all, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Then I read Moonstruck Volume 1 by Grace Ellis and Shay Beagle. This was in the BookCon box that Melanie sent me, and I was just going to read this immediately because there's so many amazing things in there, and I wanted to pick something up immediately, and so obviously I went for a short graphic novel. And this, I had not heard of this at all before, but I kind of immediately was excited about it because I absolutely love the cover. I ended up loving this whole graphic novel, actually. I really enjoyed the art. I think that the art was just super cute, very colorful, and just very much fit the story and the tone of the story. But then I also enjoyed the story, and at the center of it is a female-female romance. There is a side character that uses they, them pronouns, and in general it's just very diverse, people of color as well. It's this town where it's all fantasy creatures, basically. I really had just such a good time reading this. I just really enjoyed myself, and I definitely want to continue this graphic novel series. I'm just really glad because I had never heard about this. I don't know if I would have picked it up if I had just randomly seen it somewhere, but I'm so glad that Melanie gave this to me because I just had a really good time reading it. I gave Moonstruck Volume 1 4 out of 5 stars. Then I listened to Fix Her Up by Tessa Bailey, narrated by Charlotte North. This, I need to say immediately, is the book that was kind of getting the worst of my slump because I listened to it just kind of trying to get myself out of the slump. And I was already way too far into it before I realized that it is not what I am in the mood for at all. So definitely, I think I would have liked this book more if I was in a better mood and in the right mood for it. I think in general, it's not really the book for me. I totally get why people love it, like 100%. And I think that if you just enjoy adult romance and if you want some good sexy scenes with some great dirty talk, I think you should absolutely give this a try. The audiobook is great as well, and like there's no reason why I would say like don't pick this up. I love the main character. I love the main character so much and I want to protect her at all costs. I read some really, really shitty Goodreads reviews and it made me so angry, and that just made me really like understand how much I love the main character. I just loved reading from her perspective and I loved her character development. But the male love interest, on the other hand, I was not the biggest fan of that dude. I mean, I cringed every time he called the main character baby girl. I just did not like that. That was not for me. And usually I like the dynamic, you know, when the guy is just kind of like taking over and just being the dominant person. I usually love reading about that. But honestly, I can't really explain why, but he was just a little bit too much for me. I was kind of a little bit disappointed by how fast his development kind of like the conclusion, I guess, happened a little bit too fast for me. The point where the male character was at the end of the story, it happened a little bit too fast for me and wasn't really, not that it wasn't believable, but I just kind of would have wanted more time to develop that, because I love the development in itself and I liked the place where he ended at. I just needed more time. It was fine overall. I definitely enjoyed it. Did not regret reading it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And then after I finished Fix Her Up was when I really understood, okay, you can't just like force yourself to read to get yourself out of this slump. And then I really kind of like tried to listen to myself. I was like, okay, there has to be something to get you out of this slump. There has to be something that would currently interest you in reading. And then I realized I don't need escapism. I need sadness. I need like a full-on sad book. I need to wallow just... I'm being dramatic. It's fine. It was completely fine. I was just... You know, sometimes you have phases, okay? And so I just realized that instead of escaping that, I just needed to like completely be in it for a couple of days. So I picked up Our Year of Maybe by Rachel Lynn Solomon because I knew that it was about, like, I didn't really know that much about it, honestly, but it kind of gave me like sad-ish contemporary vibes. And I thought that like one of the main topics in it would be unrequited love. And I was like, this is gonna be sad. This is great. So I finally picked this up. This is a book that came out in January and this was an arc. And if you have been here for a little while, you will have seen me talk about this book in like 4 TBRs, I want to say. I kept mentioning it, kept pushing myself, and then finally the month where I didn't mention it, I actually read it. I enjoyed this book so much. First of all, again, it was just the book that I needed. It was exactly the book that I needed. But then on top of that, I was actually surprised by the elements in this story and how much I enjoyed them and how much I related to them. And it also made me realize how little YA books there are out there that are about unrequited love. And I'm telling you, I was always really great at falling in love with people that did not love me back. And reading this book, I realized how much I would have needed this book and this kind of experience as a teen. Obviously, I always love reading about happy stories and reading about romantic stories, but also just like seeing yourself and your experience so much in a book. I just honestly didn't realize that I needed it that much. I just always thought books had to have like happy endings. And the thing is, this doesn't even have like a non-happy ending. It's just that happy endings can sometimes be not two people ending up together, you know? And like, I don't know, I just want more. I want more books like this. If you know any books that are about like unrequited love, friendship breakups, stuff like that, please recommend them to me in the comments down below. Because like, I just didn't realize how much I needed this in my life. It was really funny. Like, I mean, I'm in my mid-20s now, and it was the first time that I actually related to a main character in that way. And that made me really like stop and realize how little there's out there for that. Anyway, I have a full written review for this one because I had so many thoughts. So I'm gonna leave a link to that in the description down below. I thought that it was a really, really important novel with, you know, kind of unique themes in there. Again, it's like not only the unrequited love, it's like a friendship breakup because this girl fell in love with her best friend. And it's kind of, you know, it's interesting because the unrequited love is what kind of starts this friendship breakup. But at the end, it's just very much clear that these people, they didn't have the healthiest relationship. They depended on each other in a way that just ended up not being good for either of them. It was just so well done. Like everything about this, all these elements were so well done. The parents were super involved. The female main character's sister is a teenage mom, and that was very interesting as well. I just loved so many things about this. This was honestly almost a 5-star read. I think I needed a little bit more like emotional attachment. I wish this would have made me like bawl. I wanted this to like just make me have like a proper cry, and it didn't. I know that doesn't make a book like less good, but just for my experience and my rating, this is what I would have wanted out of this book. But still, I highly recommend it, especially if you want books where it's not about like the two main characters, you know, falling in love with each other and stuff like that, but just again, unrequited love, friendship breakup, and the male character is bi and is in a male-male relationship at some point in the book. And so I just loved so many things about this. It has more diversity in there. Both of the characters are Jewish. Like the male character is half Jewish because his mom is not Jewish, but like he kind of really discovers the religion for himself. And just honestly, just looking back at it, I'm like, there were so many things in there and all of them well done. I love when books do that. Highly recommend this. Really, really loved it. Again, full thoughts are in my Goodreads review, but I'm so glad I finally read this. Oh my god, why did it take me so long though? I gave Our Year of Maybe 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Stage Dream by Melanie Gilman. This is a graphic novel that I saw on like a LGBTQ plus recommendations list. I went on Goodreads and then I saw that people were saying it's read now on NetGalley. So I immediately went to NetGalley, immediately downloaded it, and immediately read it. And I love this so much. This was just such a beautiful story. This is about a trans girl and a Latinx queer girl in a kind of Western setting. They want to steal this map together and they fall in love on that journey. And I love this so much because it was just so great to see these two characters in a Western setting, and on top of that, not have any trans or queer phobia. On the contrary, most people were like just supportive. Like there were a lot of people that the trans character just like wasn't out to, but the people that she was out to, they were just like accepting her. And there was like this one scene in particular that just made me want to bawl my eyes out. I just love this so much. This is so simplistic, so short, really not a lot happening, honestly. But it just made my heart incredibly happy. And I feel like this is exactly what I needed after Our Year of Maybe. I like needed that like sad stuff. But then once I was kind of back in the mood for reading, this was like the perfect thing to like just make me feel really, really happy. And it was just wholesome, delightful. Highly recommend it. I think this comes out in September, I want to say. But if you review books on NetGalley, again, it's read now. And like I highly recommend it. I love this so much. Oh, okay. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And then finally this month, I reread City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. I am so happy. I love this. I loved it, and I didn't love it as much as City of Bones. I was so surprised with how much I loved City of Bones, but I also was so surprised with how much I loved City of Ashes. I honestly wasn't expecting that I was like that this one would hold up so well for me. Like City of Bones, I was kind of like, okay, there's like a lot of nostalgia and it's like just getting to know these characters and this world, and I was like, this is gonna be cool. But then I was like, with this one, especially like knowing the things that are in it, I was like, this is probably gonna be a rough one. No, I'm trash like that. I'm literally trash like that. I love this. And obviously I have a lot of feelings about Jace, and I have a lot of feelings about Jace and Clary together. But I was still surprised how little I cared about the incest in this one. I was just kind of like especially knowing, I was just kind of like, I don't care. Like, so I just had so much fun. I just thought it was so enjoyable. This has some of my favorite scenes, like the scene in Ferry where Clary needs to be kissed by the person she most desires. And then the scene where Simon feeds off Jace. These are just like two scenes that, despite how forgetful I am with like everything about books, like I just forget shit all the time, these two scenes, they always really stood out to me. So I was just very happy reading those scenes and just very happy reading this book overall. I love all of our characters. It just made me so happy. It just made me so happy. I read 300 pages of this in one day. I honestly don't know what to tell you. I really like this, and I still think that this series holds up incredibly well, and I don't know why everybody shits on the Moral Instruments so much, because honestly, the other series are not that much better. And like, I get it. I am like a TMI stan. So like, I'm obviously not very objective when it comes to all of this. I love the Moral Instruments the most, and I always have, and I don't think anything about that will ever change. I don't think the Wicked Powers or the Last Hours is gonna change anything about that. But if I try to look at it objectively, I think people shit on this series way too much. After this, I am so certain I'm still gonna love City of Glass so much, and I still think that City of Glass is gonna be one of my like top 3 or top 5 books in the whole Shadowhunter universe. So I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't love this as much as City of Bones again, but like it would probably be like a 3.75, and I don't really do that. So this was just a 4-star for me, and I just want y'all to know that I would still protect Jace at all costs. I love him. I would protect Clary at all costs. Why do people shit on Clary? I swear to God. I swear to God, I cannot. Rereading these books, I'm realizing how precious and perfect these characters are. Just pay attention to detail and like, don't shit on Jace. He needs protection and he needs love. And like, Clary calls herself out on girl hate all the time. She like literally has this section in here where she's kind of talking about Maya and like her body, and she's like, ugh, I kind of hate her just because she looks that good. And then she's like, what are you doing? Like, this is why you don't have any female friends. And I just love that. I just love that. Because like, at the age that Clary is at, so many of us had girl hate thoughts. And like, yes, it's great to have a book where that's not prominent at all. But I also love the fact that you can talk about the fact that like, yeah, a lot of girls have those thoughts. And like, they are like jealous and stuff like that. But then immediately just be like, oh, wait, that's not cool. I shouldn't think that. I adore this, and I'm so happy with how well it's holding up for me. Love. Okay, I'm done. I'm so happy. So yeah, that's my wrap up for the second half of June. Obviously, really ended this month incredibly well. Like, yes, I didn't read that much, or not as much as I wanted to, but overall, I read some really great things, especially at the end. I read some things that I just really loved. That's the most important thing, right? Like, we can end this on a positive note, and I think that's all that matters. So yeah, if you've read any of the books that I read, let me know any of your thoughts. Again, leave me recommendations for YA contemporaries that deal with like unrequited love. And yeah, I make new videos every Wednesday and Sunday with occasional reviews on Friday, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!